Hey everybody, it's Matt, Wrestling with Whiskey, back again. We are all here, staying home, stuck inside, the craziness of the world today. And I want to say thank you first and foremost to anybody, especially in our medical field, who's out there, doctors, nurses, orderlies, whoever you are, if you're out there taking care of patients. Thank you so much for what you do. It's ridiculous. My aunt is out there and she's gone through this disease too, so you guys are incredibly, incredibly appreciated. And on top of our workers who are helping society move along during this time of almost immobility, we got transportation workers, janitors, garbage men, people who are just making the cogs of society turn and are out there every day despite the risk. We appreciate you guys so much. And there's a million organizations who go out and help people like that, or people who have lost their jobs because of this. Please, especially in the restaurant and the bar industry, I recommend you please search for one in your local area and help out if you can. But moving on to today, for those of us who are the whiskey geeks, stuck to geek out on our own stuff, I was taking a look at my closet, taking a look at my shelf, and I love doing blind tasting, so I thought, what should I taste? And I looked up at the top shelf and saw three of my little friends here. The Booker's Small Batch Collection from Jim Beam. It's always very popular. We're starting a premium category, starting in the $69.99, $79.99 kind of range, but it's always very popular. And so I thought I'd compare three of the releases from regular to extremely limited and see how they stack up against each other. Let's put the hype train to the test, as it were. So what do we got going on today? We have regular standard release Booker's. This is 2018 Batch 3 Kentucky Chew, one of my favorite from recent memory. So I thought I'd put that up there. Lots of good options for Booker's releases, but that was one of my favorites, so I wanted to put that into this lineup. That is 6 years and 4 months, 63.35% ABV. Coming in next, we have the Booker's Limited Series Little Book from Freddie No. It was his own spin on Booker's. Obviously, Booker No started Booker's, but Freddie No wanted to do his own spin on it, making a limited release called Little Book. This is Chapter 3 from last year. This was one of my favorite of all three that have been released. This is a combination of all the Jim Beam small batch collection. So there's some Knob Creek in here. There's Baker's in here. There's Basil Hayden's in here. There's, what do you call it? Booker's, Knob. Yeah, regular Booker's. There's everything from that small batch collection in there, ranging anything anywhere from 7 to 8 years all the way up to a 13-year Baker's product that's in there. So that is blended together into a batch for us. And that's about $120, $130 depending on where you buy it. Then moving along, we have the Big Daddy. This was a release from 2 years ago, a limited one-time release just for the anniversary, Booker's 30th anniversary, to commemorate the release of the Booker's line. And this was, like I said, very, very limited. This is one of those special one-time only releases. This was about $200 retail. I know a lot of people paid a lot more for it, depending on where they bought it or if they bought it secondary. But this was $199.99 at retail for the store for me. And this is a mix of mostly 9-year, about 70% 9-year Bookers, and then about 30% 16-year Bookers. So there's a lot of age wrapped up in this. But how does it all compare? We have all three poured out in front of us. They have been blinded. They are labeled on the bottom of the glass, mixed up 2-3 times. My wife did it as well. I have no idea what's in the glasses until right now. So without further ado, we're not going to dilly-dally around the bush. Let's get to sniffing. Let's get to smelling. Let's get to... I was going to think of another S word for tasting, but let's get to tasting. Sipping. I'm an idiot. Cheers to all the people I mentioned before and to all our whiskey fans at home. Sample 1. Not an overly powerful nose. Subtle notes of black pepper and tobacco. Some almost plum, grapey fruit. You know, like a dark stone fruit almost. Ethanol is minor. It's there. Booker's are, of course, always high proof, but not punch you in the face, which is nice. It's a kick in there. Woo! Heat right off the bat, but spicy vanilla kicking right up to the middle of the palate. Gotta get another little taste of that. Yeah. Second one, now that I've gotten a little bit more used to it, very much vanilla bomb. Black pepper is there as well. Oak, but not overwhelming. It's more some corn in there as well. Not as much of the Jim Beam peanut note that you would get in a lot of things. Maybe because of the proof, maybe because of the age, but it's there a little bit. There's a little bit of almost walnuttiness as opposed to the classic peanut. Strong for a century. Let's move on to number 2. Ooh, now this one is a ton more caramel on the nose. It's a little bit softer, a little bit less ethanol. Yeah, this is almost like marshmallow on the nose, like campfire marshmallow. Not smoky, but just that almost charred, sugary, vanilla sweetness. Not too much else going on there though. It's a little more tame than the first one, so it's not as flicky in the face, but it's also a little less complex. But it's really enjoyable, like I said, sweet vanilla sugariness. Starts off thin. For Booker's product, these are all barrel proof. It was kind of watery at the start, not much going on, and then the spice, the Kentucky hug, as it were, starts to slowly spread. Like middle palate all the way to the back of the throat. Adding a little bit of fruitiness to it. Not as much going on here as I would hope. More of that woody, burnt sugar, drying effect and spice, black pepper. Not like a rye spice, not like an herbally rye, but just straight up pepper spice. The wood is there, but this is... It's less complex than I would have expected, honestly, from any of these. So I'm very curious to see what this one is, because it, I don't know, I thought it was so-so. Let's move on to numero 3. The Final Frontier in the Booker's line. This one reminds me of this one. There's more of that almost like marshmallowiness, but this one's a little bit more bold. There's like a sweet cherry underneath that sugary marshmallow. Reset. Oh yeah, there's more fruits coming out of this. There's that burnt sugar, but we're getting... There's cherry underneath, but there's almost like a lemon zest in this one. Very subtle. Like, I don't want to make it sound like we're drinking like citrus here, but there's like a scent of like that lemon peel, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. That's nice. And again, very little ethanol in this one. And there's almost a spearmint at the very, very end if you take a big, deep breath in. Yeah, light mintiness there. Nice Kentucky hug there. Spice rolling up from the very front of the palate this time. Rolling back. Tongue is covered, not overly drying. A little bit more dry, a little more like tobacco leaf sort of thing. A little bit more oak on this, I feel like. There's more of a finish, and this one has the most distinct long finish, coming with some almost pear, plum, just lingering. Let's keep drinking the drying. I'm starting to notice a little bit more, little bit more. I'm very interested to see what these are. I hope you guys are too. I'm going to rank them first before we reveal so we can figure out what's what. And I might have to sniff and taste again, so bear with me. Okay, here we are. So I think I've got my decisions. I have not moved these, but I have ranked them. And after a little bit of back and forth, I think my number 3 was for sure on that sample 2, right in the middle. It was nice. The nose was nice, but it was just very one-dimensional. And I like the nose. The palate was thin, which is what really bugged me. I think number 2 is sample 1. I think it had a lot of nice flavors and everything, but it was a little harsher on the edges. I think it might be the younger one, so it could be the regular Booker's, but it feels a little less mature. Whereas number 3, I thought had similar flavors kind of to both of them, but in a much more mature package. Doesn't mean it's older. This could be the Booker's for all I know, the regular. But it was more rounded. I thought there was more layers. I thought there was like a more mature version of number 2. So let's find out what they are. Let's reveal right now. So we'll go in order 3, 2, 1, which means number 2 was my 3rd place finisher. Let's all find out what it is. Kentucky Chew. Okay, so this, as you can see, right there, the old KC. Kentucky Chew. So, alright, it is the youngest of the 3. It's the more standard. So, I was kind of hoping it would be an upset, but understandably, these more refined ones have kind of pulled ahead a little bit. But who's going to win? The Ultra Limited Booker's 30th? Or the little bit more regularly available Little Book? And this is a very particular batch, too. Much different than Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So, 3rd place right here. 2nd place, like I said, was number 1. And that's the Little Book. Little Book, LB, which means our number 1 was indeed Booker's 30th. I was actually very surprised by that. I thought the last couple of times I've had Booker's 30th, I was a little disappointed, I'll be honest, but it's pulled ahead, it's shown its maturity. I think you said it felt more layered. It felt like it had a lot of the flavors of the other 2, but just a little bit more refined. And so I can see why people like it. I can see why people seek it. I'm glad I did. I've got some more left, thank goodness. Probably have some more right now. But until then, try things like this yourself. Stay safe. stay inside, do what you can to help those in your community, and always, always, always be wrestling with whiskey.